Some weeks there's just fragments of silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me, as always, are Petty and Galix. And yeah, so this is a show that got changed at the last minute, mainly because our guests, well, nothing befell.
Family health issues.
Yes. Pretty severe ones, like, because we had originally planned to reschedule, but he just flat out canceled, which tells me that
Well,
the
he
things.
said he didn't want to think about it anymore, so maybe after stuff is blown over, he might be willing to come on, but he doesn't want to reschedule now.
No. I didn't post that part of the conversation in the Skype window.
Okay.
Because he said he thought his wife was going to be out of the hospital, like today, and I said, okay, I didn't. He said he was going to make the call this morning. I didn't hear anything from him. I made the call to reschedule, and he's like, I'm going to cancel, not even reschedule. So that tells me that the things didn't exactly go well. Like, because rescheduling for January is, it's not super far away, but it's also it's a bit of a distance in terms of time. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because this is the kind of thing that gets.
I mostly just meant I wouldn't want to think about trying to schedule something if I was having a really bad week.
I get that. It doesn't really matter. Like, once again, this is a pretty regular reason for cancellations. Something happens to a family member. Like, I think this is like the third or fourth time this has happened in terms of a significant other, just off the top of my head. So, it's another Heaven's Vault week. Anyway, let us get to the news. Petty, why don't you cap us off this week?
Well, Sunday I had to get a new keyboard because my 6-year-old Razer Black Widow finally keeled over. So I now have a Razer Huntsman Elite, and so far it's working fine, though it doesn't have some of the stuff I liked about my Black Widow. But such is life.
I'm using a 20-year-old Logitech thing that I think came with one of my computers.
Fair enough. Still don't know what we're doing about Mom's employment situation. One of the jobs she should be hearing about sometime by the end of the week. And then there's one that we may not hear anything till December, which I hope we don't have to wait that long, but oof. As far as gaming and whatnot, not a whole lot. I have been playing Phantom Abyss on Game Pass. It's interesting. I'll give it that for basically an early access title. And yeah, just kind of, I guess, seeing what we're gonna do next, because we need to figure out the employment situation for Mom, which hopefully that resolves itself fairly soon. And then, yeah, not a whole lot else.
All right, Galax, you're up.
Guess when he muted himself.
Give him a
I
sec.
did. You just missed a big sigh. Well, on the positive side, some more of the stuff I ordered has turned up. I am currently transferring save data from my old Switch, whose fan is not doing good, to my new Pokemon Edition Switch OLED. And I got Bayonetta 3 arrived, and looking forward this weekend to Pokemon coming. And
Oh, right,
I
that
have
is
been,
this weekend.
yes, and I have been playing. Apparently, I missed the Switch release for Persona 5 too, so I'll probably grab that also. But apparently, wait, where was I?
Switch release for Persona 5.
No, it was before that. Anyway, and there's still a couple of things I'm waiting for. Also, I put a screen protector on this thing, and one of the corners just isn't stuck down properly.
Oh God, I hate that.
It's flat, but it still looks like it has the air pocket under it.
Good luck with that, hell.
They don't make those. They don't make these cheap, so I may have to get a new one from somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, currently I'm transferring save data over. What else? Unfortunately, my grandmother is pretty much literally on her deathbed. My aunt has come up to split time sitting by her to basically make sure she doesn't try to get out of bed in delirium or anything. But, that's how it goes. Like I've said before, she's 94 years old, so she definitely earned it.
Right.
So any day now, I'm sure. But so that's been putting a lot of stress on everybody.
I'd imagine.
Games wise, I've been continuing to play Splatoon 3. I did a thing with a seed checker and found out that a couple of rare things that I was hoping to get before they might change them at the start of December. We don't even know for sure if they're going to change them, but they might. Is like just barely within reach, so as soon as I'm done transferring save data, I'm going to get back to trying to grind to get as much in-game money as possible for gacha pulls in-game. Lol. At least it's not anything involving real money. I think that's all I got. Sorry, it's kind of a downer.
All right. Guess it's my go. Let's see. I visited my doctor, my primary care physician, yesterday in order to, well, formally talk about my new set of labs. Thing is, I wasn't in for any surprises because I think I mentioned this last week. I had got the new lab has sent me the data, which didn't happen last time. I also happen to know a nurse practitioner who can actually interpret the data for me. So, but the overall prognosis is very good. Like, not sure if I mentioned it here or if it was an MSP, but my blood glucose is down to 6%, and just 3 months ago it was 10.3. And so apparently this kind of fall is pretty astounding in terms of getting things under control. Let's see. My kidney function, my liver function, and my heart functions are all good. They're all normal. Sodium's still a bit low. It has been suggested by a few people that I salt some food. I keep getting French fries. The thing is, I don't eat French fries anymore. French fried potatoes is like one of the worst things a diabetic can eat. And I wish people would stop saying I should eat them. Like, I don't. Anyway, my weight is now 191. So I'm pretty much at target weight. I am, like, my BMI is no longer considered to be obese, or I think even overweight. Like, it's like I am at a good, healthy weight for my size. So now it's trying to maintain the weight, which could be even more difficult. But it's an adjustment process, I suppose. But yeah, basically, the doctor has suggested that I keep. Basically, I'm keep doing what I'm doing, taking the medication, and eating just engaging in the exercise and doing the diet, and I will see him again in March, which is actually going to be the longest gap since I started seeing him back in June. Like, though I'm not entirely pleased with him, because I did mention my pain concerns, specifically my neck, because my neck has been giving me trouble when I was out shopping a couple of times, to the point where I was leaning forward to alleviate pressure, but I don't know if it's because I'm not feeling pain all the time there, or if you wanted weight, he didn't really say anything about it. Like, he didn't really suggest anything. I wasn't expecting like an MRI or anything, but nothing. So I guess if it persists, I will push harder about it, because I'm still genuinely concerned about that. Although I suppose the pain I'm dealing with right now is in the hands. It's more, my hands are feeling cramped today. Could be any number of things. Could just be age. Been dealing with a lot of flavors of upper body pain recently. But it's not, it's nothing too serious. It's just more annoying than anything else. And let's see. I suppose in terms of gaming, the main games I've been playing in recent weeks, honestly, is Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition. Let's see. I think I've logged. Yeah, I've logged in about 75 hours with that game. I mean, it's a big ass RPG. So, and yes, I know Fallout New Vegas is supposed to be better and all that stuff. I haven't played Fallout 3 before. I have New Vegas and Fallout 4 for that matter. I have all the Fallout games now that I think about it. So I've played Fallout 1, 2 back in the past. Let's see. I guess the other major game I'm playing is The Walking Dead Season 2, which I like less than Season 1. Probably why I've been taking longer. Trying out some other games. Let's see. Played a bit of Steel Empire. I know that has its fans. But honestly, I found the gameplay a bit too slow and spongy for my taste, for a shmup. And let's see. Also played a bit of Shadow Ops Red Mercury. I know this game has its fans, namely Lucas Rayovic. Yeah, this was a completely dead average mid 2000s wartime shooter. I stopped playing after an hour. Yeah. Anyway, and that's my news for the week. So, merrily, we shall roll along to Heaven's Vault. And it's been long enough where I am not exactly sure where we left off.
We were looking for the thing.
Ah, yes, the thing.
Yeah.
The new place, or we had just gotten there.
I think we just got
Remind me to
there.
never ask you for directions.
I'm very well. Okay, yeah, I'm not great with directions either. I think I'm worse at. I'm not even good at getting directions, really.
This is good to know. And I guess we'll be rejogging the memory here in a moment.
Yeah, we spent a long time sailing towards that new place that was off the map, I think.
Yeah.
Did we want? I don't know if we want to experiment with the audio or.
Not right now.
Okay. I know Mac wasn't pushing that, but having some audio might help attract people.
Fair.
Though, like I said, if we are sticking to trailers, first loop at best. Because, yeah, we don't want to have the trapped in the GameStop feeling. Anyway, well, it's time to do our first transliteration of the session. Part is upside down. Very good. All right. We are what do.
We are what we do.
Yeah, what we do.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That works for an iron cart.
Maybe
All
a little
right.
bit Arbeit macht frei, but
My cat is making this hard.
Your dad or your cat?
My cat.
Yeah.
She
I
wants
miss my kitty.
She wants to cuddle.
Cats do that. More runes to figure out what means.
mm-hmm.
I like the smoky fog effect that's going on here. I guess we're not translating that for some reason.
Don't ask me.
Okay. Expected.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole, I guess, mining town.
If some dwarves jump out and start singing, I swear to God.
I think we have more to be concerned about in terms of dwarves. If she's talking. Ramps. Which means this place was built with robots in mind.
Or just general accessibility. Ramps are good for everyone, goddammit.
Yeah, but in this specific context, dude, like, I don't think that they introduced ramps for wheelchairs. Like, call it a hunch.
You might be right, but they should have.
Okay, this is a weird thing you decided to get on.
I work at a center for independent living. My father is in a wheelchair.
Okay, it's still weird. Like, because we're talking about a fantasy game that's taking place in a whole other universe. Like, they could have fucking hover wheelchairs.
Possible, I suppose.
Oh, damn it.
I'm guessing you didn't mean to do that.
Correct.
I mean, it looks pretty solid, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm still thinking this is a mining facility.
It certainly looks about like that.
Yep.
Okay. So what the hell am I supposed to do?
Starting to look like an N64 game.
Well, this is a bit more of an angular environment than.
Yeah.
And also, yes, I understand you are also referring to the fog, which here is it's just fog rather than yes, it's just fog, but also we could not render any further.
Right.
Baby, come back.
Apparently, she's trying to be a poet now. Or the narrator. Okay.
Alrighty, more translation, I think.
Looks like it.
Alright, we
We act goddess. We.
Alrighty.
Right, that is not act.
Um
Let's see. Death, build.
Well, wood is the one that works the best grammatically between we and be.
let's see what they want for this one.
Yeah, we would be. We drink B? We want B. Like, right.
Let's see.
I'm thinking we would be free.
Or we would be strong.
Yeah.
Or we eat be strong.
With it being on a control panel, I think it might be
Above, it has the thing that's in above and is in heavens, and the wiggly thing. So,
Hmm.
what is life above to you? Is that strong or free?
could be either, honestly.
We can try free.
And then wood.
I'm 90. Wood is the only thing that doesn't sound
Weird.
which, admittedly, words can be fucky.
It would be free.
Connect wiring.
Do 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 do. Seemed appropriate.
Ah,
Okay, that's a little close.
very much so. And now 6 can come get us.
Wow, that was like one whole frame.
Why does the robot feel sick?
Why? Why was he programmed to feel pain?
Oh, I need to disconnect the other one, don't I?
Probably. Hmm. The dynamic up your nose camera
Ah,
angle.
yes. There we go. Oh, look, robot friend.
Indeed.
I do what I want.
Right, Naka.
Alrighty.
Yeah, this isn't really looking like a monster holding facility.
Yeah, it's definitely residential for things of approximately human dimensions.
That's what I've been saying. Like this looks like a mining camp.
Ah.
I can fit through here, and 6 probably can't.
An inscription.
Hmm. We're doing a lot of translating this episode.
I mean, that is what the game be.
Yep. Rest.
Until is at the end.
Yeah. So,
Got that and yeah.
All right. Rest
Right.
safe or rest now?
Me and place.
That's probably now.
I would say here more than
Yeah,
now,
I'm like,
but
yeah, that's probably here. Rest here and be safe.
yeah.
And
Alright.
bricks. Oh. Oh. That's a thing.
It could be.
You're just another brick in the wall, I guess.
Then it might not be safe. It might be. I don't know.
Dangerous?
No, I mean like the last word. No, it might not be rest here and be safe. It could be rest here and be something else.
I mean, it's a bit late for that.
I know.
Alright.
That's part of what kind of bugs me about this game is it doesn't let you go back and edit your stuff until you find contravening evidence. But I guess that's because Alia is very sure and I'm not.
The fuck was that?
I
That
appear to be
was
trapped. Good. Stay trapped for a couple of minutes.
I don't know where oh, hey, look, words.
Let's see. I'm thinking all.
Maybe?
Let's see what the others can offer. All.
Drinks.
Yeah,
Drinks.
drinks. I see.
Because a cup is a drinking thing, and drown is
Well,
drink until you die.
yeah. All drinks.
Drown life. So
Wine. Wine.
blood, water of life.
All right.
It's probably the all is probably wrong, and the blood might be wrong.
How the hell did he get over here?
Teleporter.
Their ethical cores would have compelled it. But stuck on something.
That's a good way to lose an arm.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This is a long one.
Uh-huh. I see life in the middle there between the two dotted eyes.
River
I
at
think
the end.
river is at the end. Life upon rivers.
Yeah, upon.
Huh?
Life upon rivers.
Oh. Fine. That's definitely rivers. Yay.
Life upon rivers. All right.
A
Probably
temple might be.
temple god.
Sky god.
Yeah.
Well, it tried
Because
sky and it didn't. It rejected it.
then we might have had that in the wrong place, or we might have had the wrong. Like it was a different thing that it was saying isn't sky. This has the
Yeah. It
the
could be
thing for the thing for heavens and the thing for place and then the thing for heavens pretty much. So I'm pretty sure it's talking about a place above, but I'm not sure.
I mean, they can
If you
yell at us
disagree,
we're wrong.
that's also Sky God makes more sense than most of those other things.
breathes life upon us.
No, keeps.
Hmm?
Well, whatever. We can do breathes. I would guess keeps.
Alright, where else can I go get my hand removed? I mean,
Yes.
I think that's everything here, isn't it?
Could be, but the robot's not wanting to leave, so maybe not.
Oh. No.
There we go.
Well, no, I
Leave
was
the
trying to hit the look down button.
Do you guys have? Yeah, you guys have less of a delay than I do.
Well, I have 0 delay, so.
I know, but Adam was responding to things that I wasn't yet.
Right.
Smashed crates.
An ancient lantern. Home.
Here is like place I something. So this is. I would guess next or last, but it might be home.
Can try home. Time?
Light. For next time.
Yeah. Home is not right.
Or for last time. I think the circle with the inner circle is a time preposition indicator or something.
Let's see. For next time, I make for
last time.
There is an inscription.
It's upside down.
again.
I know. You are.
So is this her tilting her head upside down or something?
No, it's just it's making sure you're solving the puzzle upside down, or don't. It's just thinking about it upside down.
Okay, blood was right, all was not.
So heavens, people.
Nebula?
Nebula makes more sense than sailcloth or food based on what we have.
All right. Nebula it is.
Look what we did, 6. Looks like a beetle.
Another inscription.
It's robots with the thing for people in front of it.
Slaves.
So probably slaves, possibly followers. Oh yeah, and it's similar. Robot is like a working people.
Robot not feel too good. I think that's everything here.
All right. We'll depart and we'll wrap up for the session.
Alrighty. Oh, come on. Alrighty.
All right. All right.
Time to do the thing.
Yep. Well, clearly that was the wrong track.
Whoops.
Yeah, Petty, what were you thinking?
Not looking at my.
Says the Galax, who totally noticed that it was the wrong thing and was not
Like, look, the transitional music's pretty distinct compared to the rest of the soundtrack that we have. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, welcome to the topic of discussion for the week. And yeah, there were a few topics we could have plucked, but decided to settle on Metroid Prime as the 20th anniversary of Metroid Prime is approaching in about 2 days from initial broadcast.
Mhm.
Yes, this is one of those signifiers that you are getting old, or that you are very young.
Games from
Because
20 years ago, people think they're Genesis era. No, it's GameCube.
yeah, it's GameCube. Yeah, I think the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, they all qualify as retro right now. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, and for the record, 10 years old isn't retro or vintage. That's just old.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have more years before you're considered to be retro. Apparently. So, but anyway, yeah. It also means that that date is the 20th anniversary of Metroid Fusion, but we'll talk about Metroid Fusion when we come back. Because, talking about, and I'm trying to remember if we talked about Metroid Prime before, and we probably have. I mean, when you've done as many episodes as we have, which, for the record, we don't exactly know how many episodes we've done. We don't keep track, and especially since it's like, what do you count as an episode? But we're getting off track here. Anyway, so Metroid Prime. I probably don't really need to introduce this game all that much. It's one of the most notable. It's one of the most famous. It's one of the highest selling Metroid titles. Granted, in terms of Metroid, that means it's only sold like 2.85 million copies lifetime sales, or at least we're talking the initial run on the GameCube. Because Metroid Prime has seen a few re-releases. Most notably in the Metroid Prime trilogy collection that was released on the Wii. And
which, among other things, added the Wii touch controls for that Prime 3 was originally made with, if I remember correctly.
Metroid Prime 3, yes. The others, no, since
right. It added in the previous two.
Yeah.
The same pointer controls.
Right. And from what I've heard, they work phenomenally well. I couldn't say. I never owned a Wii. Like, honestly, the whole motion control gimmick or phenomenon, however you want to define it, never interested me. GameCube was my last Nintendo console. But I certainly remember getting Metroid Prime for Christmas 20 years ago. And I guess my feelings towards Metroid Prime, I enjoyed it a whole bunch. I didn't think it was super revolutionary like some people did, but I guess in terms of design, it was there. I don't know. Like, I don't think Metroid Prime has all that much in terms of influence. Certainly influential, but if I have to name the influential Metroid game, it's going to either the first one or Super Metroid. With my eye on Super Metroid, because I can delineate a lot from Super Metroid. Metroid Prime, if only because the whole 3D Metroidvania design is a lot less common. And look, Metroid Prime was also clearly taking a few pages from Half-Life. Maybe more Metroid Prime 2, but still, it's there. Like, how could it not be? And I guess we could wade into the eternal debate surrounding Metroid Prime. Is it a first-person shooter or is it a first-person adventure game?
It can be both.
Yeah, I would say it's both, because yes, it's a first-person shooter, and if you don't think that, then look, you haven't played it, because it is first-person and there's a whole lot of shooting in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it also does play significantly different than anything else at the time. I can acknowledge that as well. Both in terms of PC and console first-person shooters. You know, and I guess the way it delivers the story is pretty unique, or is unique, is the real way to say that. But unique's kind of been devalued as a linguistical currency,
Mm-hmm.
because really you shouldn't be providing modifiers to the word unique. But we've been over this. Look, you're either unique or you're not. Unique means one of a kind, people. You
On
can't
one hand, yes, but on the other hand, you can use it to describe. You can use a modifier to describe how far it is from being similar to things, I guess.
Mm. And
I
yeah,
understand that linguistic thing, but the common usage battle has clearly been lost.
right.
And it's not totally irrational to say, like, okay, yes, there's nothing quite like it, but there are a few things that are kind of similar if you look at them funny.
Like, I couldn't tell you another first-person adventure or shooter or anything that really comes into the mold of Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like when I'm thinking like the 3D Metroidvania design, I'm actually thinking like Batman Arkham Asylum, of all things. Though that's just in terms of general layout, as Batman Arkham Asylum is actually a 3D Metroidvania title. But we're not talking about that particular title. Anyway, yeah, so Metroid Prime managed to pull off the impossible, seemingly, in that it brought Metroid successfully into the third dimension. And as we have seen over the course of the history of video games, a formerly 2D franchise entering the third dimension is no easy task. Hell,
And then there's the added risks of giving it to a new and relatively, like, new to them, but also like not actually a super experienced studio,
right?
and an American studio, it being a Japanese game, and significantly changing the perspective.
Right, but as it turns out, going first person with most of the game, because technically speaking, it's first person and third person, because they said
you're third person whenever you go into Morphball, because that definitely wouldn't work in first person.
Yeah.
That'd be Vomit City.
Yes, it would. Like, but I don't want to say that things were overstated in terms of the peril that Metroid Prime was facing, or the doubt, because it's not just in terms of, is this going to work, and this is a new team, but the actual development of Metroid Prime was very fraught with peril.
Yeah, I definitely I have distinct memories of the period when people were just pretty much assuming it was going to suck.
But here's the thing. This was Nintendo's flagship title for the fall of 2002. They were not going to let it suck. And given all of what we have learned about in the intervening 20 years that has been decided to be the case, because Nintendo's quality control standards are, on the whole, pretty strict when you get down to it.
Yeah,
Like,
they give Disney a run for their money.
yeah, and I will, and obviously they haven't 100% delivered a quality game, 100% of the time, given all that they publish and all that. But comparatively speaking, they make sure that game goes through quality control rigors that a lot of other companies just don't have or never had.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I could make a joke about Bethesda at this point, but I think it goes without saying.
Bethesda, EA, I'm like, Ubisoft,
At
a
least
whole
modern
bunch of,
Ubisoft.
well, it's like we're not talking about modern gaming here.
Fair enough.
It's like, look, just gaming on a whole had a tighter standard 20 years ago. That's mainly because you had maybe not one shot to get it right, but if you had a fucking game-breaking bug, you had to recall the product and you had to reprint. Where's the PlayStation 2 era was the last generation where you had to get shit right, because there's no day one patches. There's no day 2 weeks in patches. There's no patching. There's, you either do it right or you.
There is in order to make the game clock on your copy of Pokemon Ruby or Sapphire not malfunction, you can either send it into Nintendo and have them fix it, or later connect it to a game copy of Pokemon Emerald that has a somehow can patch it.
Or Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point is, like, you had to have the bug control be a lot tighter than it is even in the Xbox 360 generation, because you can't go back and fix shit like you can now. It's like, yeah, games are a lot sloppier these days, but it's also like they can patch shit in very easily, more times than not. So, and the overall point is, Nintendo was not going to have their flagship 2002 title be a massive glitch and bug fest.
Yeah, heads would have literally rolled.
They pretty much did.
Fair.
Like, once again, going back to the actual development story of Metroid Prime, yeah, everything, the development here was rocky, but so was everything else at Retro Studios. Retro Studios was not a particularly well-run place under its independent banner. It was to the point, where Nintendo had to come in and literally clean house. And this is not getting into the moonlighting business, let's say, that one Jeff Spangelberg was engaged in at the time, on Nintendo's dime, no less. Like, it's like it's perhaps paradoxical or a study in contradictions, but Nintendo still had faith enough to believe in Retro Studios, but not
in the not head guy, but like the actual programmers and designers,
where they took the actual unprecedented step of buying the studio. It's like, once again, Nintendo was, keep in mind, and still is, notoriously stingy when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. Remember, just around this time, they famously rejected the full ownership of Rareware, deciding it was better to...
when it was extremely available.
Well, not just extremely available, they owned 49%, and they had first right of refusal in order to purchase the remaining 51%.
And a lot of people at Rare wanted Nintendo to buy them.
Uh-huh. But, Nintendo apparently, the story goes that they said Rare was too much for them, but there seems like there were other things. It's like, we don't actually know why Nintendo passed on Rare. Likewise, we don't exactly know why Nintendo saw faith enough in Retro Studios. Now, granted, the asking price was a lot cheaper, because they were a fresh-faced studio with not even Metroid Prime to their name. Because the purchase price of Retro Studios was only $1 million. And some have suggested that the purchase of Retro helped facilitate the non-purchase of Rare. But point is, Nintendo purchased Rare in 2002. They had all of the other titles canceled. I'm not sure if that was before.
You mean Retro, not Rare, but yes.
Yeah, Retro. Because they were working on 4 titles at the time. It's just one of the big problems with Metroid Prime's development is it was a thing that was coming in before the GameCube was even released, or more to the point, the development kits were finalized. You see this pretty often in game development, actually. But the bigger problem was Retro Studios was trying to nail down 4 games at once, and they only had like 1 dev kit or something like that. They didn't really have enough development resources to handle 4 games at once. So, Retro had to cancel everything else.
And hey, at least one of those didn't look like it was going to be terrible.
Yeah. Like, Nintendo basically nailed them to the wall and said, you're gonna hunker down and you're gonna finish Metroid Prime, within 6 months. So that meant an obscene amount of crunch. Because apparently the entire staff was working 80 to 100 hour work weeks until shit was finished. And, keep in mind, we're talking 2002 here. We're talking even like pre-EA wife whistleblower here. I'm like, I guess what I can say is, the results do show, but, crunch is still crunch. It shouldn't have gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on Metroid Prime, if you have any?
I'm glad it worked well.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it, though I don't remember fully completing it.
For me, the GameCube is the one Nintendo system I didn't get. So I have never played it, and I didn't get it in the collection because I was more biased against first-person games at the time. But yeah, I'm glad it did well, and I still hope to play them at some point.
I would not be shocked if when GameCube games come to the Switch, that's available in there, because duh.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as my own recollections of Metroid Prime go, probably, I'd say it's definitely one of the top GameCube titles I've played, and I played a lot of them. I actually stuck with the GameCube for a long time, until 2008, 2009, I think. Even when the Wii was a thing, I still bought GameCube games because guess what? GameCube games were going for pretty cheap then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it did still have a GameCube in there pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it's like I never bought a Wii. So I just kept my old GameCube around.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah.
And a Wii was
I
basically.
got a Wii in college.
Mm.
Yeah.
Insert
I
joke
ended up
about
moving over to the PC afterwards.
Understandable.
Never looked back.
Whereas I am still what some people would refer to as a Nintendrone, although I do also play games on Steam now.
Right. I mean, sometimes you review them. It's like, you know, I am actually finding it hard to talk about Metroid Prime as a game because, the sheer, it's one of the most praised titles that has ever been released, if
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. Like, and its development quality is nothing short of a miracle. Or you could say the hard work and toil of those exploited by a capitalistic system. Either or. But, Metroid Prime is, is a Metroid title in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds pretty basic to say, but once again, that was not an easy thing to nail down.
Yeah.
Once again, ask Castlevania how well that went.
Ask Bomberman.
Castlevania does have the added issue of, man, a whip sure is a thing you can physics model.
They didn't really do that, though.
I know, and right, you shouldn't. That's not the correct way to do it, but
Like, I mean, at least like the 64 games, like they weren't physics modeling anything then. Like,
even just to do the graphics modeling on a whip is tricky to make it not look terrible.
right, but once again, like, ask Castlevania about it. Ask Sonic about it. Ask.
Some would
Contra.
argue they still haven't figured out how to do Sonic right.
It's been in and out, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.
I said some.
Look, the Sonic Adventure games have their welts, but they were fine interpretations of 3D Sonic for the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, part of the problem with the Sonic Adventure games is they keep porting the not good Sonic Adventure as a basis. That is to say, like the modern day ports are based off of the GameCube titles. And the GameCube titles weren't ported properly.
Mm-hmm.
There are entire videos about this.
I could probably go on about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yes, for every Mario and Zelda, there are at least one Bubsy.
I'm like,
maybe not as bad as Bubsy.
well, it's, hell, keep in mind, Kirby did not try to vault.
Yeah, Kirby took forever to actually have, like, they did 3D graphics. They didn't wait that long on 3D graphics, but 3D actual gameplay took until like last year.
Yeah.
For a full game. I mean,
Yeah.
they did they had the side games, but they never
Not
really.
even last year.
Those other ones.
Yeah. No. Like that one 3D basic mini game thing.
Yeah,
I guess
there's a bit of bite to, was it Blowout Blast or whatever? Like, they're not completely nothing, but yeah, it's doesn't have powers is the biggest thing.
Right.
They wanted to make the copy abilities. They wanted to make really sure they had the copy abilities down, I imagine, before they could do that.
Anyway, veering back on track here. Yeah, so that's the remarkable thing about Metroid Prime. It feels like a 3D Metroid. It plays like a Metroid in 3D. It's got all the accoutrements that can be accommodated in 3D. Now, obviously, future games would add on to that. Like the screw attack doesn't show up until Metroid Prime 2, for example. But it is a Metroid game in 3D, not just in terms of like its design, which is what a lot of the when you talk about Metroid Prime, it goes into that aspect. It's how everything is laid out. It, like you go to the cliffs of Fendara and all the, all that, or you go to the Phazon mines and you backtrack. Yes, they nailed that aspect to the extent that they could. And what I mean by that is there, and you can't really get around this kind of thing, and that is 3D in general is slower than 2D. Like, unless you're like developing, say, something at the speed of Doom, But I wouldn't be surprised if like even the Doom 16 and Doom Eternal are slower than 2D Doom. Like, I don't know all the technical aspects behind it, but I do know in general 3D is slower than 2D, which is why Samus feels slower in 3D than in 2D. But,
well, you can't when you're doing side scrolling, you have a pretty defined amount of ahead of you on the screen.
Right.
And when you're doing behind the back controls, you don't have that. It's actually one of the issues that Sonic has in 3D still.
Right. But yeah, I don't think it was ever that much of a problem because Samus wasn't exactly the speediest of
Samus has only ever been fast when she's literally using her goes fast button.
Right. Her speed boost.
Yes.
Which is more of a door unlocker than a fast travel thing.
I guess in diagrammatic senses it's a key, but yeah, you don't use it to go faster. I mean, you can.
You use it to go fast, but you use that to unlock more of the game.
Yeah, to blow up walls and stuff.
Yeah. But here, yeah, it's like, but in terms of Metroid Prime, everything is centered around the visor, and Metroid Prime specifically is also centered around the 4 beams: plasma beam, wave beam, charge beam, and ice beam.
Yeah, because it made them, instead of being just different fire types that have the ability to go through, it basically made them a black mage element select thing. Mm-hmm. That things were weak to color codedly and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. And I suppose we should talk about what might be surprisingly the most controversial part of Metroid Prime, and that's the elevation of the space pirates. Like, because
into people who are capable of making mission logs instead of just nameless, faceless.
Well, more
or
than
it to
that,
being a main threat instead of just Ridley's little bitches.
Yeah, I guess that's a way of putting it, but the space pirates were always denoted as being behind the initial attack and cloning the Metroids, and I have always seen the Metroid Prime series as a logical extension of that. Mm-hmm. But this is where we get things like the mysterious pirate high council as being like the overall brain trust instead of, mother brain. Because the Prime series really elevates the pirates as the main antagonist to Samus Aran, more so than the other games, because there are games where the pirates don't show up at all, or like Other M, I think they are a side thing at best.
Metroid 2 doesn't really feature the Zibisians in a significant quantity. It's literally just all about Metroids.
Well, here's the thing: they're not even Zibesian.
They're still called that, I think, but yeah, they originally came from somewhere else.
Yeah. But and I think it was a necessary thing that Metroid Prime had to do, given another focus shift, because I would say that the Metroid Prime games are by a country fucking mile the most narrative heavy.
Yeah, because they have scan logs. They have
Yeah.
text all over them that gives you information on the setting and stuff.
Right. And not only that, but it's also they had to provide a whole bunch of background lore on things. And that includes the pirates. Like, not so much the Metroids. Like, honestly, Metroid Prime, this is really about the time where the Metroids are starting to become a hindrance to the Metroid franchise. Like,
you mean in terms of real lifetime?
Well, I mean, in terms of themselves, remember, they wrote themselves into a corner with Super Metroid.
Well, yes, this takes place between the game in which Metroids are discovered, Metroid, and the game in which all but one Metroids are exterminated, Metroid 2. So you can't have too much Metroid stuff in it, because otherwise it would make it be like, okay, why was this not an issue in 2 and then in Super?
Right, but that got increasingly vague as the Prime series went on. Metroid Prime is very definitively a midquel set in between Metroid 1 and Metroid 3, Super Metroid.
And 2.
And
it's before 2.
Yes and no. Here's the thing. Metroid Prime establishes new colonies of Metroids, because the Talon 4 Metroids are not from SR388.
If I remember, I think Prime 1 and 2 take place before 2 and 3 takes place after.
Possibly, but that was one of the things. Like, the Talon 4 Metroids are not the SR388.
I thought the only Metroids in Metroid Prime were Metroids that had been phazon experimented by pirates.
They are, and that makes them Talon 4 Metroids. And they could have brought them from SR388 or Zebes or what have you. But the Metroids are really incidental. And Metroid Prime is weird in that he's not actually a Metroid. At least not as we define Metroids, but it's just called Metroid Prime. I never understood this.
I thought that was just they phasoned it so much that it basically completely changed its entire body structure.
It's possible.
Because spoilers, after you kill it, I believe it comes back as just Dark Samus.
Yeah, it's Metroid Prime is Dark Samus with the phazon suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Metroids are still very incidental to the Metroid Prime trilogy. It's why it's called the Phazon trilogy, because Phazon is the real catalyst for everything in the Prime series. Because I remember the Metroids just kind of being there, and they were
it's really about space pirates and or about whatever the fuck is going on in Phase, or I forget what the story of 3 is, honestly. Again, I did not actually play them.
Well, the pirates were kind of side storied in Prime 2, because the central conflict of Prime 2 is the Ing versus the Luminov.
Right. That's what I meant by whatever was going on in Phase, because I could not remember the names of the aliens.
I could. And I have not played Prime 3, but if I had to choose between Prime 1 and Prime 2, Prime 1 is the definite better game. Prime 2, honestly, has some really not good design.
I've heard secondhand complaints about the fact that to get more ammunition for your beams, you have to kill things with the other beam.
Yeah, that's one of them. But it's it's in general the toxic dark world aspect. I know that goes away, but I never liked it.
In fairness, the light world is also toxic.
Yeah, but not in the same way as the dark world.
I know.
Anyway, we should probably wrap up this conversation, as we are ticking towards the time of MSP.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the whole Metroid Prime trilogy getting released, I'm sure it's going to happen any year now. Anyway, so
sometime between now and the end of.
time.
You know what? I don't feel like ending that sentence with the current geopolitical situation and stuff.
Probably for the best. Anyway, so coming up on the week ahead, no Friday show this week. We did have one planned, but that got delayed till January because Petty has a Botox injection to deal with.
Yep.
Not for cosmetic purposes.
Yeah, because my legs don't work right.
Anyway, so coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of, and not this week. We're actually off this Sunday, and we're going to be off this Wednesday next week, actually. So yeah,
because it's American Thanksgiving.
Yes. So coming up on the Sunday reviews, when we get to them, we'll be having reviews of The Pinball Wizard, Radical Rex, Super Dino, and Road Frog. So until then, I shall wish you good gaming.